It really does lead into our next speaker, Vinny Eng. It's a community organizer and founding member of SF New Deal, a rapid relief effort formed in response to COVID-19 to support local restaurants in providing meals to those facing food insecurity in San Francisco. Vinny is also an award-winning wine director and general manager and was named a Food and Wine Magazine Sommelier of the Year in 2019. Propelled by the loss of a loved one due to police violence, he's part of a number of coalitions working to repair harm, heal trauma, and restore communities. Vinny believes in a future where love prevails, where everyone can live as whole beings and all are treated with care and dignity. Vinny, please share your story with us.
I want to dedicate tonight's story to the 500 unhoused residents at Echo Park Lake. When you grow up in a household of 7, you spend a lot of time organizing chaos, especially around food and meal times. Who eats first? Who eats last? Who gets to eat at all? We were raised in a 1-bedroom apartment in Echo Park, a neighborhood in East LA. Mom was a garment worker, Dad a day laborer, which is a bit of a misnomer because depending on the gig, he worked long days and long nights. Meals were primarily my mother's responsibility. She did the grocery shopping, the butchering, the gardening. She packed the freezer and slaughtered and plucked the chickens we raised in our backyard. The tasks were seemingly endless, and the to-do list would start all over again each day and each week. To this very day, the economy with which my mother figured out how to feed 7 people on our household budget is something I still can't quite wrap my head around. Mom did her best to have food ready for most of the family members. Although chaos always reigned, there was an order. My older brother, Vincent, always ate first. My middle sister, Jasmine, always made her plate last. I would occasionally steal from Vincent's plate, and Dad would weave in and out. And if he wasn't expected to be home for hours, Mom would set aside a plate for him. When it came to meal times, we never really found a way to consistently sit down together. Doing so was a luxury. In fact, I can't remember a time when there were 7 chairs at the dining table because sitting together happened so infrequently. My sister and auntie and I share our birthdays in September, and we as a family always celebrated the 2 birthdays together so that we could get one big sheet cake instead of 2 separate smaller ones. And when we did celebrate, we would sit on top of the dinner table during the happy birthday song because there weren't enough seats around the table. To Mom and Dad's credit, I rarely ever felt like there was literally nothing to eat. But there were many moments when there was emotionally nothing to eat. You know those moments when you open the fridge or the cupboard and you look around and you don't want to eat anything that you see? I remember one time my parents went to a wedding banquet on Christmas Eve and left it to my sisters to figure out dinner. Clearly, there was nothing to eat at home. So, dissatisfied with the lack of options and the opportunity to indulge in our vices, the 5 kids piled into the family Oldsmobile and went out in search of meals. We ended up driving around for at least 2 hours that night, going until we found a McDonald's that was open on Christmas Eve. This was back when the napkins were still embossed with the double arches. I was so relieved to open that little rectangular box of sweet and sour sauce that night. I spent a lot of my childhood thinking about being hungry, about what my next meal was going to be. Reprieve came with breakfast and lunch at school. The cafeteria line meant I would get chocolate milk and white bread with orange cheese. Walking home, I would wonder whether dinner would be different than the usual rotation. Mom would find any way to stretch $1 at the Pioneer Market at Echo Park Avenue and Sunset Boulevard. Kidneys or sesos were always in the mix. For those of you who know, I can already hear you groaning. For those of you who don't, sesos are cow brains. They were usually the cheapest protein by the pound. So, with hunger so often on the mind, it was any wonder that I could ever think about anything else growing up. Feeling hungry and fearing hunger and uncertainty around where your next meal is coming from isn't uncommon in America, and especially now in the aftermath of COVID. 48.8 million Americans, including 16.2 million children, lack the means to get nutritious food on a regular basis. That is 1 in 5 kids, 1 in 5. Now imagine, if you will, how COVID and George Floyd and Atlanta and Boulder has left you overwhelmed. Has that rendered you incapable of imagining the larger struggle of your neighbors, your community, the people that you love, and the people that you don't know or haven't met? When someone expresses a need, it's not the individual that has failed, but that our community is being called in to provide for each other because larger systems are failing. One thing I've learned in feeding my loved ones, my community, there is whimsy in chaos, but there is wisdom in intention. It isn't enough to feed our community with secondhand produce and expired food. We have to uplift our community and support their ability to feed themselves, fully informed and wholly engaged, providing them with the dignity to choose among options of relief that are culturally familiar. And in the long term, find resources for self-determination so they may make choices for how they feed their loved ones. There's enough food in this world to feed everyone with dignity. Believe it, commit to it. So be it, see to it.